What does your company look like in terms of coverage area and teams?
There's a lot of expansion that had to happen. There's an opportunity, and I know that there's some money to be made. We're definitely going to do that. There's probably a lot of new commercial cleaning business owners that are listening to this. You never know. There might be an opportunity right in front of you.
How did you go about fulfilling that first contract without anybody in the area?
Probably 6, 7, 8 years ago, and I never thought about subcontracting. I wanted to do it organically, do it all in house. Company culture is a big sticking point.
Would you say LinkedIn is probably your most consistent source of new leads?
It's the consistent source for me to put out stuff about our company.
Are there any certain industries or certain niches that you prefer?
I look at really 3 different types of niches. I think that they're recession proof, I think.
What's the toughest part about hiring, building a team in general?
It's finding the people.
What tools and softwares do you use specifically to help you just run the company?
You got to be organized. You have to have systems. There has to be a systematic approach on what you're doing.
All right, so welcome to the Commercial Cleaning Growth Podcast. This is our 3rd episode now. We want to welcome Edwin for coming here with us. If you could just kind of start off by giving us a background on, who you are, where your company's based, all that good stuff.
Sure. Yeah. No. First off, appreciate you guys having me on for the invite. Exciting. I'm always humbled to be on a podcast. But yeah, no. My name is Edwin Eaton. I'm the owner of iPro Building Services, Blueprint Janitorial Consulting, and Cinch Software. So I've been in and around the industry for about 20 years now. In a small city in Washington State called Wenatchee. We're known as the Apple capital of the world. So we have about 50,000 people. Um, Been here, got into this industry through college, and it's just kind of progressed throughout the years. So with this business itself, iPro, we've been doing it. This will be our 13th year. We cover multiple states throughout the Pacific Northwest, a little over 200 employees and about 60 subcontractors.
Yeah, you mentioned like you got into this space after college. Like, what specifically got you in this space? Did you just get into it randomly, or how did you get into it?
Yeah, no, I didn't raise my hand in class and say I wanted to be a janitor, right, growing up. But no, my college roommate, his uncle actually owned a pretty decent sized commercial cleaning company in Seattle. It's up and down kind of the main interstate there. He called us one night. I think we were sitting down watching probably the Seahawks playing on the couch, and his uncle had called and said, "Hey, I have a couple cleaners that were cleaning some banks over by where you guys are at. They quit. I need some people to hold down the fort. Would you guys be willing to do it?" I said, "Absolutely not. I'm not going to be cleaning, but we're college students. We didn't have a lot of money." And he said, "I'll pay you in beer money if you want to do this." And so he was speaking our language. And so it's like, sure, we'll go ahead and do it. We held down the fort probably for about a month, month and a half until he found some replacements for us and paid us in beer money like he said he was going to do. He told me, because we didn't have any issues there at the banks that we cleaned, but he told me, someday you're going to come back after college and come work for me. And I was in the hospitality industry, and I said, that's probably not going to happen, but I appreciate the opportunity. But it just so happened when I moved back home due to some family illnesses that were happening, didn't have the type of hotels in my city like I had in the big city. And so I saw an opportunity there, partnered up with him. We started taking off. Eventually, we butted heads because I wanted to expand a little bit quicker than he wanted to. And then I broke off and kind of started doing my thing.
Oh, awesome.
Awesome. So I guess, you kind of touched on it, but what does your company look like in terms of, I guess, coverage area and teams?
Yeah, so we're kind of all over the place. So, what I've learned over the years is, yeah, I'm in a city of about 50,000 people, and there's only so much that you can do in a smaller city. So there's a lot of expansion that had to happen over the course of, few years here and there. And so, yeah, we cover Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Northern California, Utah, Nevada. We kind of jump around and we go places, if we get the call. I'm a yes man. So if there's an opportunity and I know that there's some money to be made, we're definitely going to do that. So, but in the beginning, it was kind of a slow go, just trying to get my feet wet, really learn the industry. Because when I was working for my college roommate's uncle, he held all the cards. He knew how to bid. He knew how to put together the proposals. I didn't know anything. He just said, "Go sell, get me some new customers, and I'll take care of the rest." So I had to learn all that on my own. And so the expansion piece was probably at the 2, 3 year mark where it really started to take off, and we just started to really expand in different places.
How much is enough to get you guys to probably go to a new state or a new territory?
It really just depends, especially if there's good opportunity there. Sometimes maybe it's one account, but it's worth it money wise, and then the opportunity for other locations to come around as well. So we take a good hard look at that, but typically if it's one or two accounts, again, we'll do it. And the method has changed. We look at using subcontractors opposed to our own people. I mean, there's places that I've never set foot in the state, but I have subcontractors there that I trust, that I know that can get it taken care of for us.
So I guess when like starting out, like starting to run the company, like transitioning from beer money to like an actual operation, was there like any specific moment when you thought to yourself like, hey, this might actually work and be a bigger operation than just cleaning a few banks? It's
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of times that I wanted to quit. I wanted to throw in the towel. Absolutely. I mean, it's stressful, and a lot of people don't understand what it's like to be a business owner, let alone a cleaning business owner. But I think when it clicked, I had an opportunity, and it was a marketing opportunity. We've got uh, an arena that's here in town. It's about a 5,500 seat arena, and then there's a secondary ice rink that's there. One of the marketing directors called me and said, "Hey, I have an opportunity. We have an opening on the Dasher board if you want to put up some marketing material."
mm,
I thought, you know what, we're starting to grow a little bit. Why not? This is an opportunity. Let's try it out. So we basically put our logo, our website, our telephone number. And it's kind of a crazy story how this happened, because this is how expansion happened for me. And so there was a hockey tournament, a youth hockey tournament that was at the ice arena.
mm,
And this kid ends up getting body checked into my dasher board. Well, this kid's dad just happens to be a big higher up for a Fortune 500 data center company, and he just
mm,
happened to be looking for a commercial cleaning company. So boom, his kid gets smacked up against our dasher board. There it is, a janitorial company. Well, why don't I write down this information and give him a call? So that was over a
mm,
weekend. He called me on a Monday. Thursday, I'm driving 3.5, 4 hours down to their location, middle of nowhere, big
mm,
concrete buildings everywhere, and these end up being data centers. And so we walk into this place. It's massive. It's about, the smallest ones are about 150,000 square feet.
mm,
And so I said everything he wanted to hear. He wanted to give me an opportunity in one of the sites. So I said, perfect. Again, this is 4 hours away. I have no employees. So we had to dig in and really figure out what we needed to do. But I thought this is a great opportunity to have a data center. So fast forward to where we are now. It started with one, it progressed to five, it progressed to 10, it progressed to 20. We now have in this cluster about 92 data centers. And that's what really put us on the
mm.
map. So to be able to expand in a hurry, again, there's probably a lot of new commercial cleaning business owners that are listening to this. You never know, there's might be an opportunity right in front of you. You never know. Just take the shot and see what happens, right?
That's awesome. Well, how did you go about fulfilling, that first contract when without anybody in the area?
Yeah, you're looking at them right here. So it was, I didn't have anybody. And so, back, this is probably 6, 7, 8 years ago. And so I never thought about subcontracting. I wanted to do it organically, do it all in house. Couldn't find anybody. So I put the Craigslist ads out. I put the ads out on Facebook, in the Facebook groups. Went and got myself a hotel. Told my wife, you may see me in a week. You might not see me for a couple weeks until I get this place taken care of, because it's a huge opportunity. So that's what I did in the beginning. Luckily, I was able to find somebody within the first 3 days down there, kind of fit the vibe. And we just starting to spiral off from there. And the nice thing about it is this person was pretty well connected. So they had friends, they had family, and introduced me to people, because it's an agriculture city where these data centers are. A lot of Spanish speaking people as well. And I don't speak Spanish. So I had to rely on this one person who actually helped me really grow the business as well, in terms of getting employees to fulfill these locations.
Pretty cool. Okay. Well, what would you say are kind of what's your base for marketing starting, now just in general?
Yeah, now in general, what I look at as marketing, I mean, you see it across all the social media sites, from LinkedIn to Facebook to Instagram. A lot of commercial cleaning companies like to post the before and after photos of a toilet, right? Here's the before of a toilet, here's the after of a wow, you clean the toilet. That's awesome. I mean, my company can do it, your company can do it. That really doesn't differentiate you from in the market, right, from your competition. So
Hmm.
it didn't click, probably about 3, 4 years ago. It clicked that company culture is a big sticking point, and nobody was really marketing that. I mean, you see some people talk about employee um, birthdays and employee of the month and things like that. And we did a lot of the employee of the month stuff in the beginning because I thought, well, this is cool from other places I worked at. We should probably do that. It didn't work for whatever reason. Whoever we had as employee of the month ended up quitting a month or two later. And long story short, the reason being is because I was able to sit down with one of them who was put in their 2 week notice after winning the Employee of the Month award. And it was because they said that we put them on a pedestal and they had a target on their back, and they felt that everybody else felt like they should have got Employee of the Month. And so we kind of isolated them. And so I scrapped that, and we went and we started doing employee anniversaries because nobody can take that away from you. You put in your work, your year, your 2 years. We're going to celebrate that. And I didn't even know that this would become a thing, especially for marketing. It started to take off. So you go to any of my social media, there's nothing about cleaning. It's strictly about my people. And so that really started to take off. And so that's really what we do is we market our company culture from our website to everything that we do on social media. And just to kind of put it in perspective, I do a lot of it on LinkedIn. I did a little over $1.8 million in sales off of LinkedIn last year just from posting about my people. Because facility managers who I would never have the shot to get into their facility would see this. They followed me and they said, I had one of them tell me, he said, you know what? The current cleaning company I have, their turnover is almost weekly. But I see your postings and you've got somebody 5 years, 6 years, 2 years. Like, I want this kind of culture with whoever I'm partnering with. Next thing you know, we're jumping into new places just because of this. So, it worked for my company. It might not work for other people, but I think that's one thing that kind of gets missed when it comes to marketing is really just, the job workforce right now is tough. So you got to kind of think differently. And the more you celebrate your employees, the more people want to work for you, the more that they're willing to go above and beyond. And then your customers, your potential customers see that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really awesome. You don't know how many cleaning company owners have told me that LinkedIn does not work for marketing. And
Yeah, we were literally
Oh,
talking about 2 weeks back with Jeremy. Like these people have LinkedIn profiles, but it's just blank. They don't post anything. They're just there, and it's like a profile picture of a building. That's
right.
pretty much.
Well, I think Jeremy, you and I, we linked up on LinkedIn, right? That's how I
yeah,
found you. You
exactly.
found me. I mean, that's how you find these opportunities. And a lot of people just, yeah, they don't want to go that route. They want to post the before and after photos of a job that they did.
Hmm. Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah. Okay. So, what would you say LinkedIn is probably your most consistent source of like new leads?
It's the consistent source for me to put out stuff about our company.
Okay.
When it comes to leads, yes, we get leads off of that. I think another piece that a lot of people forget about is one thing that I like to look at. I do some coaching on the side as well. What I like to tell some of my clients is um, uh, uh, the Chamber of Commerce, I think, gets overlooked quite a bit. I can tell you this: I don't pay to be part of the Chamber of Commerce, but I'm very active in everything that they offer because it's free. So
Mhm.
ribbon cuttings, those are free. Business after hours events, those are free. So if there's an after hours event, it's going to be the who's who in the business. So if you're out there and you're struggling trying to figure out who the contact is for this medical facility or manufacturing plant, it's probably going to be at this after hours event. And so that's where we're at, right? And so, God gave us two ears and one mouth. And so we listen more than we talk when we go to these events. We hand them our card and then we ask them questions about them. We end up getting leads that way. And so over the years, I've been able to build up a staff. And so when there's an after hours event, people know iPro's in the building because we're all logoed out and there's probably 5 or 6 of us in the room. So that's how we
That's awesome.
structure to go after the leads.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, what would you say? Like, are there any certain industries or certain niches that you prefer?
Yeah, for me, there is. You can't see it, but outside my window is a river where I'm at. We have a lot of rivers, and when there's rivers, there's dams. And when there's dams, there's data centers. And data centers is big time money. And so I look at really three different types of niches. I think that they're recession proof, I think. And so data centers are number one technology because Like we're on a Zoom, we're on the Riverside right now, we're doing this podcast, we're using technology to do it. So there has to be servers for this, and these places need to be cleaned, and they're 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So I look at data centers, I look at manufacturing plants, because those again are recession proof because everybody's buying stuff online through Amazon, right? So these packages need to go places and they have to have people there and they got to keep it clean.
Mhm.
And the third one I look at is medical. So whether it's your local clinics or it's a hospital, everybody gets sick. It's just the way life is, right? And so those places need to be clean. So those are the three main niches that I look at. In the beginning, I didn't look at it that way. It was just anything I could get my hands on, from insurance companies to car dealerships, whatever it was. But as you start to grow, you're going to start to figure out what really makes the money, what's really worth your time. Do you want a one time a week account where you're struggling to keep employees because you don't have those hours? Or do you want a data center where you're going to have 8, 9, or 10 full-time employees, and you're going to give them benefits and they're going to be happy and they're going to stick around? So, but again, you just kind of have to play it by the area that you're in. But I know most areas you're going to have medical and manufacturing for sure. And then data centers, if you have that, that's just icing on top of the cake.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you go about pricing? Let's say, like, do you compete on cost, like service quality, or how do you go about like pricing specifically?
Yeah. So, back to the company culture, keeping people on board, you have to pay them well. And so that's been one of the biggest struggles for us, especially in Washington State, where we have one of the highest or the highest minimum wage in the nation. And so, we're having to pay in the 20 plus range for our employees and then offer the benefits and everything else. And so we really look at that, making sure they're paid well. But then with pricing, sometimes we're a little bit higher than the competition. And so that's where we have to really put on our sales hats and really explain to them why. And so we look at the pain points, and a lot of the pain points for facility managers is, just missed services, communication just isn't there. And so we're able to speak to that. And then I think the pricing at the end really doesn't matter because we've answered all their pain points. And then when the price comes, I think they kind of expect it to be where it's at.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not like most people might assume like always the lowest bid will win. Like that's certainly not the case.
It's not that in some of the government contracts it is,
Mhm.
that they'll usually take the lowest bid. I try to stay out of those, but yeah, I mean, if you put your sales cap on and you're really speaking to what the pain points are, I think you can get away from that, the price objection piece.
Yeah, 100%.
Makes sense. So what's the toughest part about hiring and building a team in general?
What is, I mean, it's finding the people, right? And then, it's in the beginning, it was like you put out a Craigslist ad, you get maybe 10 people to apply, maybe two people show up. So whoever shows up, that's who I'm hiring, right? In the beginning, because I need them, especially if I'm 4 hours away, I'm staying in a hotel, I'm going to hire you right away. If you show up, I need a warm body. But now it's, we look at people that kind of fit the vibe of our company. And so
Mhm.
we've got the structure set. And you really have to do that as you start to grow, because I like to call them, you can get cancerous people within your company, within your organization. And those are the kind that I just hate, because they'll come in and maybe they're a negative Nancy all the time. And people start to see that. You end up keep that person sticks around, but all the good workers end up leaving because they can't take it anymore from this one particular person. So we try to find a vibe that kind of fits with the style that we have. And we're pretty transparent in what we do. And we tell them when they come in, you're going to be cleaning toilets, you're going to be taking out trash. It's not sexy, it's not glamorous. Are you good with that? Yeah, okay. And then we try to learn a little bit more about them. But now we're very selective on who we bring into our organization.
Yep, makes sense. So I know you have your own, and then definitely feel free to tell us if this tell us all about it. But what tools and softwares do you use specifically to help you run just run the company?
Yeah, no, I use quite a few of them throughout the years. I mean, they're all great. But one thing you have to know as a commercial cleaning business owner, or just as a business owner in general, you have to have software. The days of
Hmm.
pen and paper are just over with. So it doesn't have to be mine. Mine is Cinch janitorial software, but I think you have to have something, right? You got to be organized. You have to have systems. There has to be a systematic approach on what you're doing. And so I eventually just said over the years, I want to create my own and just see, just with things that I use on a daily basis. So really my system, Cinch, is sales and operations piece, because I got tired of salespeople calling me at all hours of the day trying to figure out what pricing should be. So we have that set within our system. This is the structured price. So if you go based on hours or based on square foot or a combination of both, that's the price. I'm not gonna question you on that price because we know what the profit is going to be on that. And so we've structured it from not just janitorial but floor care, stripping and waxing, buffing a floor, cleaning the carpets, to pressure washing, window cleaning, final construction cleaning, all of that. So,
Mm.
but it just boils down to just having some kind of system and some kind of structure in place.
What's the URL for check it out if you want to check out your software?
Yeah, it's called cleancinch.com.
Okay, got it. So how long ago did you build it?
So it's been about 2.5 years um, that we had it going. I had a few things already in the works, and then it just kind of spiraled out. It was never to give out to the masses. It was just for my company because I didn't want to share some of the secrets that I was using and growing my company. But on the coaching side of things, people would ask me, what software would you recommend? And so I'd point them in the direction of a software. They'd come back and say, hey, we didn't like that. What are you using? And
Hmm.
so I showed one of my coaching customers one time what I was using. They said, "This is great. Can I try it?" And that's kind of when the light went off and said, "Well, maybe I can make a business out of this." And it's, in the last 2 years, it's started to really take off.
Awesome.
So when it comes to like, now obviously not everything goes all the time according to the plan. So how do you handle client issues or like mistakes without effectively losing trust with the client? Like
Yeah,
you commit
that's
and all that.
yeah, that's a
And
million.
with cleaner as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
I said and with the cleaner as well.
Yeah. No, I mean that's $1 million question, and again, back to the pain point piece. That's kind of the biggest thing is communication. I mean, we're all human, right? And so, what I like to tell people is we're not in the cleaning industry. We're in the relationship building industry. Is really what we're in because if you're a cleaning company, you should be able to clean. But what's going to differentiate you is your communication. And so that's really what I pride our company on is our communication. So we try to check in every week, and it's not just from an email or phone call. It's in person. We want to make sure that we touch them in person because then if there is an issue, it kind of alleviates it because we've been in there talking face to face and we've built that relationship. But yeah, I mean, there's still clients that'll call and they're pissed off about something, right? Like the toilet paper roll is upside down, it should be the other way around, or there's been a penny behind the door, or they didn't clean last night, or whatever it is. But it boils down to communication, and then how quickly can you respond to that, and then how quickly can you handle that situation and get it taken care of. And so if it ever arises, we have things set in place so that whether the manager, myself, or a supervisor can make contact with them, come up with a resolution to fix it, and then we just kind of go from there. And then that's what works. Again, back to the software piece, when you have inspections that are on there, right, that your QA or your inspector is out there doing those inspections, they're your last line of defense so that these issues don't have it happen. But obviously, again, we're all human, so issues will happen. But that way you can just kind of go back and there is an issue, we've handled it with the customer, they're happy. Now how do we handle the employee, right? And so if we have pictures that are in our inspections or the emails from the customers, we'll sit down with them and we'll just kind of explain to them the situation that happened, and that how can we help you in any way so this doesn't happen again, because we don't want them pissed, we don't want to get rid of you, we don't want to cut your hours because we can't keep you in this location, so what can we do to help you, right? So we're always in that mindset of being a leader and trying to coach them through the process. Obviously there's some employees that just are not coachable, and you sometimes just have to move on from them. But again, that comes back to hiring and setting the tone and making sure you're finding the right person that fits your vibe.
Yeah.
Right. And I know this maybe it's I don't know if this is a dumb question, but so when if you're using subcontractors, like how does that dynamic change like when you're working with another company, I guess?
Yeah, I mean it's a little trickier, but we've luckily, I mean, we had a lot of issues in the beginning. Yeah, and there were a lot of customer issues on that where, if it was in Nevada or something, I'm not going to hop on a plane and shoot down there because they didn't clean a toilet or something, right? So
Right.
it's just finding that right subcontractor again that fits the vibe, just like you're hiring an employee. And so it takes time. And when you're expanding and you're using subcontractors, that's just like throwing fuel on the fire. And you could be expanding like crazy, but you have to have a way to really hone in these subcontractors to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. So again, the communication piece, we use a lot of work orders to communicate with them. We ask them to take before and after photos. We have them clock in and clock out so we know when they're there. At least gives us a little peace of mind. And then we have them do audits on themselves too, just to see where we're at. And then, with me, I always like to, FaceTime them or do a Zoom video to see their offices. I want to know what kind of chemicals they're using. I want to know what kind of equipment they have. And, sometimes if it's mid-grade to the higher tier, then you kind of know you're dealing with somebody that knows what they're doing. May cost a little bit more, but honestly, I mean, that's almost peace of mind right there to know that you're partnering up with a good quality company.
Okay.
It makes a lot of sense. How involved are you in like the day-to-day operations, or what's your main focus? Like growth, leadership, or day-to-day, a little everything?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at this point, because we're established, the growth isn't where I need to set my foot in. I hired people who are better at certain things than me so that I can slowly step away. And that's really what I've done. Just a quick story for you guys. My wife was actually diagnosed with stage 4 cancer last year. And so it was kind of an eye-opening experience for us. And so we kind of had to step back a little bit and kind of rearrange and figure out what we're doing. My wife has always told me just step back. If there's going to be an issue, let them figure it out because they're never going to learn if you continue to micromanage or have your hand in everything. And I was just kind of the person that always had to be there. But because of her diagnosis, I really took a big step back and I really relied on my staff to take care of things. And honestly, it worked out. I mean, they knew exactly what to do. They knew how to follow up with me and everything else. But to end it on a good note, my wife, she's cancer free now. She was able to ring the bell a few months ago. So everything's great. And I'm still sticking the same way. We're still treating it like I'm still away from the business. And so I'd probably say my hands are in the business probably maybe 10% of the time now. And so my focus is shifted towards leadership because that's what I want to do. I know now I can step away and my team can take care of the operations, the sales, the day-to-day stuff, but they still need somebody to coach them with leadership. And so that's where my focus is. I actually, a buddy of mine is a leadership coach. And so we bring him in every quarter and he comes in and does a 4-hour class with our leadership team just to get their leadership skills honed in. I meet with the staff, the leadership team at least once a week. And, whether it be on Zoom or I come in the office and we're always talking about something leadership. So if they have issues, maybe they're timid on how to approach an employee on a certain issue or something like that, we talk it out. But yeah, that's my focus now is just leadership to help build up the management team.
Mm.
Awesome. Yeah, I
Yes.
really like it. I mean, I need to implement something like that. Uh, to be honest. Who's your friend?
His name is Fletcher Ellingson.
Okay. Yeah. Guess yeah, we'll talk about that after
Yeah,
as well.
I'll shoot the information over to you. Yeah, he's a good guy. But there's a handful of them that are out there. I mean, within the commercial cleaning industry, from a lot of the events that I go to, Rocky Garza is one that he shows up at a lot of them, and
Mhm.
he does leadership things for like Coca-Cola and Zillow and places like that. But
Mhm.
that guy's amazing too.
Mm.
Interesting. Have you heard of what's it called? Intro.co?
Mm-mm.
It's like
That-
it's like a really I just had it well, Anton ended up having the session, but you can talk to some like really, really high level people. Amazing. Yeah, just check it out. Check it out after. It's like
Yeah,
I mean, people from all different types of companies, you just pay to have a call with them, essentially. So
sometimes that's all we need, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So when like from starting on, you had like certain beliefs. Were there like any beliefs or when you started out turned out to be completely wrong and you had to like restructure different things even based on
Yeah,
just one belief?
yeah, the belief that I could do it myself, I think
Yeah.
is was the biggest thing, and I think a lot of new commercial cleaning business owners get into it, and that's the mindset. And obviously, in the beginning, we want to get our hands on everything and do everything, but
Mhm.
at a certain point, if you've got your hands in all the different pots, you're not going to be able to scale. You're not going to be able to grow because you're stuck doing that. And I think the tipping point for me was I was so frustrated and I was getting burned out because I was working at night, till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. and then going to bed for a couple hours and getting up and selling again in the morning, starting at 8 or 9 in the morning, and then just doing that cycle over and over again.
Yeah.
I got in touch with a mentor, and I like to plug his name. I don't know if you guys have heard of Ed Selkow.
Hmm.
Pretty big guy in the commercial cleaning industry. He wrote the book on how to bid on commercial facilities. Great guy. I was lucky enough to have him as my mentor in the beginning, and he's like, "No, you're doing it all wrong." And so he set me on the path that I needed to be on. And I think that's one thing I think as new commercial cleaning business owners, you really have to look at is finding somebody who's been in the trenches before, who's done all the mistakes, and who's going to point you in the right direction. I think what's the saying? If you go to the casino, you got to bet money to make money, right? So you got essentially that's what it is, right? Because you're betting on yourself with your commercial cleaning business, but if you don't have guidance and somebody to steer you in the right direction, how are you going to get that? And there's so many mentors out there. You just have to see who fits again the vibe that you want, pay them, but you're going to get your ROI on that. You're going to get your money's worth by finding yourself a mentor. So as soon as I did that, I understood I got to get my hands out of all these pots, let the people do what they're supposed to do, and hire the people that are better at doing certain things than myself.
Yeah,
Right.
100%. Pay to win, essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
If you were starting from scratch like today, what would you do differently? Are there any hurdles that you might just totally not, not want to be taken?
Yeah, I don't think I would do anything differently because I don't think I would be where I'm at. I
Mm,
think I think I had to go through all the failures that I went through to really learn how to fix them, and to again, I wouldn't have known what systems were until I went through everything that I went through, right, to fail. But I think, to answer that question, realistically, it would probably be, again, like I said, I found myself a mentor. I think that's what it would be. Find myself a mentor, somebody that could set me on the right path, because you can ask somebody for the question and you're going to get it. I love to quote philosophers, and people will give me crap for this, but the great philosopher Pitbull, he
mm,
said, ask for money, get advice. Ask for advice, get money twice, right? So people want to get into this and just want money, 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 but
mm.
sometimes you got to ask for that help to get you to the next level to actually really make that money. So, yeah, if I was to start over, I think find myself a mentor right in the beginning, set me off on the right path. That way I'm not failing right off the bat, and I'm not feeling frustrated and burnt out, and I can just focus on what I need to focus on to grow a business.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very good advice. Like for
Yeah.
everybody, every industry, I say.
Yeah. Any business really. Like we
Yeah.
actually a lot of the stuff you've been saying. I mean, it's parallels to how I'm trying to grow our company. So, uh, kind of, yeah. I wanted to just last question for you.
Yeah.
And you kind of just answered it, but maybe what's one final or one big piece of advice you'd give to somebody who's just starting off their company, let's say January 1st, 2026 next year.
Yeah. Just go all in. Don't uh,
Mm.
don't do it half-ass in a way. Just if you're going to do it, figure out the structure that you want to do it, and then just go for it. I tell people this. My son, he's 23 now. He got into the industry when he was 16 years old. He wanted to sell right out of college. He was 21. I said, okay. I gave him some quick little pointers. I said, find a niche and go after it and attack it. That's all I told him. Find that niche, go after it. That's what he did. He said, "You know what? I'm going after car dealerships," and he stayed down that path. So if you're gonna jump into this, find a niche. What's the big thing that's going on in your area? If it's car dealerships, then that's what you attack for the first month. But that's what he did. He ended up selling his first month. He sold $37,000 in new accounts, which is crazy. The next month he didn't sell
Yeah.
anything, but he understood how it worked. But you just stay that path. And what I tell people is, if it's car dealerships, visit every single car dealership in an hour radius. You're going to get X amount of people you're going to talk to. If you get through all of them, find another area or circle back and start doing it. Because once you get one of them, you've now become the expert on how to clean car dealerships, because now you're going to clean it, you're going to learn it, you're going to get complaints, you're going to fix it, you're going to know what to do and what not to do, you're going to know how to talk to that particular facility. So then when you go to sell to another car dealership, you're that expert. You already know what to do and what to say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. Well, Edwin, thank you very much for hopping on here with us. Where can
Absolutely.
people get in contact with you?
Well, we talked about it. LinkedIn. You can just find me on LinkedIn, Edwin Eaton. I am on TikTok. I'm big on TikTok, doing daily tips and stuff like that. So on TikTok, my handle is the Cleaning Consultant on TikTok. So those are the two main places you can find me on.
Awesome. All right,
Awesome.
cool. Well, yeah, thank you everybody for checking out the episode, and we will see you in the next one.